Live. Here. It's live.
Oh, good.
You're live. So if you
Hi.
can hold it like right here.
Okay.
So you can actually. Hi everybody, we're live. So this is like setup.
Is there a time delay that we pull our swears?
No. Okay, you guys want to get up on the thing?
Yeah, I want to.
There you go. So you can.
I'll try to hold it still.
That's fine. That's supposed to be kind of.
All right, people. I'm the camera person, and I can't promise this is gonna be held still the whole time. Welcome to Immortal Works Flash Fiction Friday.
Hi, I'm in charge. Nothing.
Video or audio out?
We just needed to record.
So you just need to go from there?
Well, no, I mean, they said you can record the audio. Is that right?
We did that.
That's what I was told, but it's fine. You don't need to.
Yeah, I didn't have any recording device.
You're supposed to never.
Welcome to Flash Fiction Friday.
That was Jay.
I guess I should joke with you guys right now. No, I guess not. How's the sound?
You can joke with Don anything.
I'm actually embarrassing fashion. You know what time it is? Hammer time! You want to dance, Rich? Tell me when it's 6 o'clock.
Tell me when it's over.
I need hammer pants. Is Brandon Sanderson coming to this?
You're wearing clothes.
Brett Spiner said he'd come to this, so can you go get him? I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing.
I think he'd be great at Flash Fiction.
I think so too. Isn't that your dream? You want to someday be replaced on a Comic-Con panel by Brent?
Yes.
Awesome. Usually I have a phone in front of me to count down the clock. But
2 minutes.
okay, cool. Hey, everybody in the hall, you should come in here.
Well, most of the time you might have Brandon Sanderson that doesn't start till 7.
Brandon Sanderson's here right now. Is that why you guys came? Now I know the truth.
Here's for Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, it's like this room has to be
All the hands have gone up.
Is he in here?
I'm here for Brandon Sanderson.
Dang it.
Honestly, if you like it.
No, I'm sorry, everything I'm saying is a joke. I apologize.
The room does have to be cleared out.
He's
Yeah, I
Brandon
know.
Sanderson's biggest fan, pretty much. You don't find a bigger fan. Oh,
That's Max.
Max, hi, I'm here. If you haven't met me before,
hi.
I'm
I
here.
haven't met you
Who
before.
here is
I
who
would
knows
just find out.
Max? That's Max.
This is me.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yep. I talk quite frequently. Too much stuff.
The FanX volunteers are awesome. I feel bad. I shouldn't be stressing them out, so I apologize. So it's all right. And then I've got there's a weird guy in scrubs in the corner back there. I don't know who that is. Calls himself Chuck. Is it time? I'm done with my warm-up stand-up routine.
It's cool. 5:59.
There's gonna be 100 people coming in. I don't know. probably need to.
Hello?
Testes.
All right. Check.
Hello?
All right, we're good to go. So, this is Flash Fiction Friday Live. We do a weekly podcast. It hasn't been weekly this month because we've been saving up the submissions. We are doing a contest, and we have 3 winners, and I hope they're all present tonight. The winners, are you here? Raise your hand if you're here. Awesome. Let's see.
Make them come up front.
I should. That's a great idea.
Sorry, people.
As we read your story, we're going to have you come up for a second. So, thank you, Chuck. So I'm Jason King. I do the.
Woo!
Thanks, Mom. Mom has a weird thing where she can sound like 1,000 people. I think she's possessed. So I do the Flash Fiction Friday podcast, and I'm going to introduce themselves real quick. This next.
I'm John Brunvik.
Oh, I am also Jonathan Grundvig. But you can call me Zach.
I'm Megan Nerdin.
And we're all with Immortal Works. John and Zach are regular readers on the Flash Fiction Friday podcast. Megan's our web admin, but I found out she had acting experience, and so she got volunteered by me to do this. So, we should be streaming live on YouTube now for Daisha, who's probably the only one watching. I'm just teasing. We had a lot of people who said they wanted to watch, so I'm hoping they remembered. We sent them a reminder of it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we had a contest. We had a lot of great entries. We could only pick 3, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first place winner, and that's going to be read by Zach, and that's Christopher Baxter. Where are you? Come on up for a second. Okay. All right. This is our winner, and we want to put him on the spot. So.
Or if you want to sit next to me, I'll look into your eyes as I read your story.
Without further ado, Zach, you want to take it away?
Sure enough.
And please no editorializing. So I know you added like the Smurfs, and at one point the Kool-Aid Man comes in. I promised him we'd read the original.
That's an actual story.
Let's see if I can do it justice. I really enjoyed the story, so I hope I can do it justice. Can you hear me all right? Does that sound okay? All right. Rest in Peace by Christopher Baxter. I took my life 3 years ago on the 3rd of December. And to be honest, I'm not really sure why. I mean, I was depressed, of course. Everything had fallen apart. Dad died and Mom left back when he first got sick. I couldn't even remember her. My sister was all I had, pulling me along each day, keeping me from giving up. She was always so focused on her little sister, on me, that I don't know if she really took time to have a life of her own. Even when the lupus hit her, she kept trying to make it okay for me, right up to the end. So I know what my reason was. I couldn't make it without her. There was no point in trying. What I don't know is why I thought that killing myself would improve anything. Maybe I supposed there would be another life after that one where I could be with my family and be happy, or there would be nothing. Instead, I ended up haunting the parking garage where I jumped, staring at shadowy concrete pillars and fading painted numbers on the walls, slowly forgetting who I used to be. I tried to leave, but I'd always be pulled back. Living people came and went. They couldn't see me, couldn't feel me. After a while, they all just blurred into shadows, like they were the ghosts, not me. It was 3 whole years of utter, terrifying solitude. Until you came along. The first time I saw you, when you picked up some guy in the parking garage, it felt like when you're sick and your stomach is churning and you just want to throw up so that you'll finally feel better, but you can't. And you wait and wait, and finally it all comes up, and it's horrible for a second, and then everything feels awfully better. I suddenly knew that I'd been waiting for you. When you left, I followed you home. I haven't been pulled back to the garage since. Instead, I'm pulled to you everywhere you go. Man, did that get me thinking. It was nice. I used to enjoy reading mysteries and solving puzzles when I was alive, on the better days. After I died, I lost that. I lost myself for a long while. But you brought me back. Suddenly, I had a new mystery in front of me. My mind cleared and I began to think, who were you? Why could I see you so clearly? Why was I suddenly being drawn to some middle-aged woman with a fancy apartment in the city? I had a lot of ideas. The whole heart and souls thing was a big one for a while. I thought maybe you were some sort of psychic, someone who would fix my lingering issues so that I could move on. But you never saw me, and after a while I admitted myself that it had been a stupid idea. My problems aren't going away. Then I started to think that maybe I was supposed to help you. Like I'd been sent to save you from making the mistake that I did. But you don't seem like you're on that sort of path. I mean, you sing and dance in your underwear. I don't think I ever did that, even before Dad got sick. You have loads of friends and boyfriends, and you already doubled the lifespan I managed. The more I saw of you, the more I was convinced. The more convinced I was that you didn't need any sort of help from me. For a while, I was stumped. I began to let myself drift away again. And then one night you started talking in your sleep. I went to listen to what you were saying, and I was pulled into your dreams. So here we are. I was so excited the first few times I came in here. My dreams were so bright, I suppose. Alive and colorful like my life and my dreams never were. I've never been so energized, so enthralled. Then I saw your dream last night. You remember the one. You woke up in a cold sweat and couldn't get back to sleep. It was that dream about your former husband, when you ran out on him while he was sick because you couldn't take it all. You dreamed of your 2 young daughters that you left behind, Anna and Lilia. And I knew those girls. You know, I used to daydream that you were some sort of secret agent who got called away on a special mission. Maybe you hadn't been allowed to tell us because it would have put us in danger. Or maybe you wandered through a wardrobe into another world and couldn't get back. Anna, on the other hand, used to search through reports of unsolved murders, terrified she'd recognize your face. But here you were, living it up in the big city, just a few miles away from us. And you're so happy. I never got to feel like that, not once. Dad died, and Anna tried to take care of me, but she was too young to handle my issues. Once she was gone, I was miserable and alone. And for what? For what, Mother? So that you wouldn't have to deal with your problems? With our problems? So that you can have a life of your own? How do you manage to sleep at night? How did you just pick up, make a new life after you abandoned us? Why do you get to have this and we're all dead? You're waking up. That's fine. I can't stop you. But I'll be here tomorrow night. And the next. Waiting for my answers. Your nights of resting peacefully are over.
Hey, Christopher, did you want to tell us a little about yourself real quick and where else we can find more of your writing? Because that was an awesome story.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just from here in Utah. I started writing as a way of not getting in trouble in class, because when I read in class, teachers got mad, but when I wrote stories, it looked like I was taking notes. And still do that at work. And you can find some of my stories in the October 2016 and Spring 2018 volumes of Deep Magic Easy. And also go to Webtoons, webtoons.com, and look for Dreaming Beauty. That one's not mine, but I got to edit it. It's a wonderful comic. Find it, read it, enjoy it, like it, please.
Great, thank you. All right. right, so our second place winner is Jody Milner. She wants to come up. We should have done this the first time, but I'm going to have you tell a little bit about yourself before we read the story. Nothing like improv.
Nothing like it. This is the only time I'll be able to sit at this table, so I'm going to enjoy this moment.
Oh, it's not true.
I'm Jody L. Milner. I work in speculative fiction. I also work in epic fantasy. I am a proud member of the Immortal Works. I'm a baby member of the Immortal Works team. So, my first book's coming out in November. I'm super excited about that. If you guys want to find more, I have a website, jodylmilner.wordpress.com, or Jody L. Milner pretty much anywhere social media is found. So there's my shameless self-promotion.
All right, so we'll,
Hey, random question. Did you also go to East High?
that's
Yes.
What's going on, Diggs?
Nice, yeah, I thought you.
We've
all
We've all did.
This victim list is quite long.
Yeah.
I'm just using Bryce's stand-up guy. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to John to read Jody's story.
Yeah. The Beast in the Woods by Jody L. Milner. Revis warmed his aching hands over the embers of the dying fire. Freshly harvested bundles of celandine hung along the rafters over his head, filling the lone room of the stone cottage with a cloying herbal scent. The hours spent tying knot after knot stiffened his fingers and bent his back until it refused to straighten without a fight. Sleep beckoned him to curl into his warm bed and rest. He cupped his hand around the flame of the single oil lamp. Before he could blow it out, someone banged on the door. He heaved himself to standing with a groan. "Patience, I'm coming." "Open up, old man." The banging came again. Through a crack in the door, dim moonlight glinted off the shining armor of a man hanging limp between two of his equally armored companions. A drab fellow hung behind, wringing his hands. Almost a season had passed since someone had challenged the beast living in the woods. With no one to heal and a coin it earned him, Revis worried if he'd be strong enough to gather enough food to keep himself alive. He swung the door open wide. Healing a knight would earn him plenty of coin. It was worth the effort. "Bring him in, there on the table. Get his armor off," he ordered as he hobbled around collecting and lighting more oil lamps. The injured man moaned as his companions worked to remove the plate armor. Blood oozed from under his arm where the ring mail had been pierced. No doubt other injuries hid behind all that metal. The beast wasn't one to be gentle. The dark-haired companion with a strong, stubborn jaw worked the pauldron free and set it on the floor before turning his attention to untying the front of the finely crafted halberd. "Be warned, old man. This is the Crown Prince of Ludarnia. If he dies, you die." The other armored companion rattled his way back to the door of the cottage, no doubt to stand guard. "Nothing like a good threat to make a man want to do his best. Get out of my way, or I'll report to the king himself that you interfered." Revis plucked several rolls of bandaging from a chest as well as a pair of glass vials. Had royalty not been involved, he would have rolled his eyes. "Two can play at this game." The dark-haired companion paled and stepped back, much to Revis's satisfaction. The prince's rugged, square face was much like his father's. Still, that pretty face had gone gray, and his eyes had rolled back into his skull. It would take serious work to save him. "Boy, you!" Revis pointed to the man standing guard. "Go fetch a bucket of water from the well outside the house." The knight at the door shifted his weight on his feet, as if unsure if he should take the order. Revis fought the urge to roll his eyes again. All that manly skill and not a lick of common sense. "Does the prince have a manservant? Someone used to taking direction?" The drab fellow he had spotted before stepped into the flickering lamplight. "That would be me." "Stay here." He pointed to a spot next to the table before turning his attention back to the dark-haired knight. "You, Out. I can't work with all that rattling. Darkhair huffed before turning on a heel and storming out the door. Drabby raked a hand through the pile of his unkempt hair. Will the prince be all right? Not sure, but now that it's down to the two of us, I can get to work. Why send Clovis out? Surely he would be a better help than me. No, you are exactly what I need. He handed the manservant a cloth. Press that to his side while I get the rest of this rubbish off. He hastily finished untying the padded gambeson and peeled it away, revealing dark bruising on the man's ribs and another deep cut. Why were the lot of you in the woods? What? You heard me. Rebus nodded for Drabby to move the cloth and poured the contents of the first vial over the two wounds. The prince stiffened and grit his teeth. There's no road there, no passage between one town and another. Was the prince searching for trouble? Drabby's gaze darted to the prince's face briefly before returning to the cloth in his hands. Knowledge of the beast came to the attention of the royal court. Rumors of it harming villagers. The prince felt it his duty to rid the kingdom of it. Rebus threaded a needle with sinew. So stupid, all of you. The beast only attacks if provoked. Why can't people leave well enough alone? He's desperate to prove himself. This seemed a worthy goal. The old man thought to himself. King Melorian ruled fairly and kept his land safe. The kingdom had been blessed to have his wisdom and insight. Rumors floated around that the crown prince was impulsive, greedy, and eager to please. Perhaps it would be best to let him slip away. Do I save him? Excuse me? The boy's brow creased. He dropped the cloth as if burned. This is a valuable opportunity. If the prince is a horrible person, if he doesn't value people, if he treats you like dirt, if you feel he's going to be a worse king than his father, then we would be doing the world a favor by letting him die. You can't be serious. The boy paled. I can't decide that. You would weigh his life on my judgment? I've decided on less before. Sometimes horrible people need to die. It's my way of making the world a better place. You'd better hurry. I can't imagine he has long. No, I refuse to condemn anyone like this. Good enough. He handed the boy the other vial. Make him drink it. The healer set to sew and close the first ragged wound with tidy stitches. What does his esteemed father have to say about his son going on this quest? Drabby worked the stopper off the vial and grimaced at the smell. The prince has the king's approval, his blessing even. King Melorian is wise. I imagine he was quite eager for his son to come here. Rebus tied off a stitch and clipped the sinew with a small pair of scissors. I can't blame the man for trying. What do you mean? There is a long tradition for young princes to be sent to face the beast. The challenge is as old as the kingdom itself. Rebus finished closing the first wound and started work on the next with practiced efficiency. It's a pity, really. For people like the prince here, the beast is unbeatable. Why do you say that? The stronger, the more stubborn, and the nastier a fighter is, he gave the servant an understanding nod. The harder the beast is to conquer. Rebus pressed his eyes shut and took a deep breath. There was still hope for the prince. There had to be. That's because there is no beast. Drabby's face twisted in confusion. But what about the wounds? What could have done that to him? Himself. Rebus wiped the prince's skin clean before carefully wrapping his chest with bandages. This wood is old. It's full of cunning. Those coming with the intent to harm are faced with a projection of themselves. He rested his hands on the table. It can't be beaten by force. The king knew that when he sent him. Drabby's eyes narrowed as he tried to understand, then widened again. The prince believes he must kill the thing. That will only get him killed, won't it? To defeat it, he must make peace with it. If the prince can't do that, then he will die. If you value his life, you must make him understand. Rebus set his tools down and pulled up a rickety wooden chair. He must make peace with himself. Drabby sat hard on the other chair. I'm not sure that will happen. It can. Rebus touched the small medallion he wore around his neck. He had been given it as a gift after King Melorian's coronation, as the previous king had done for Rebus's father. The king wasn't always a kind, benevolent ruler. 40 years ago, he too faced the beast in the wood at his father's urging. It changed him, didn't it? Made him a better person. Yes. But if this quest doesn't do the same for the prince, what then? Rebus pressed the medallion between his fingers as the pang of memory haunted him. Then the kingdom will be spared once again.
Okay, Carl, I couldn't remember your last name, that's why I had to read this real quick. Come on up, this is our third place winner, Carl Duzette.
Nice.
I'm kidding, guys. We know. We're having this conversation.
You've been old for a while.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your writing and where we can find you?
My name is Carl Duzette. I have a website at carlduzette.net, and I chose .net because it rhymes. It's not quite built yet, but maybe one day you can find me there. You can find my half-baked thoughts there, and I have a Twitter at twitter.com/cduzette. So, yeah.
And Megan's going to read your story, so we'll let Megan take it away.
Flare by Carl Duzette. Atora runs across the red sand, clutching a leather journal to her chest. She sees the rest of her tribe curled up against a large dune at the end of the solar fields and runs towards them. They hold tightly to spears and clubs and peek over the dune at the enormous solar panels. Atora, barks the chieftain. What are you doing? Where is your spear? We're about to begin the assault. Atora stops to catch her breath. The chieftain is age-worn, becked in warrior's mantle of painted leather and carrying a sharpened scrap of metal over her shoulder. I'm sorry, Mother, Atora says, but this can't wait. I found Grandfather's journal. Her mother sighs. Your grandfather had strange ideas, little one. Atora opens up the journal to the page she's marked. But it's all here, a plan. A plan to use the remains of the generation ship to rebuild and return to the stars. Get back home. If we just, no, her mother says. That was 100 years ago. We are not one people anymore. She tips her head to the solar fields just over the dunes. The lowlanders don't want anything to do with us, and the solar panels only give us enough energy for one tribe. Our forefathers gave up returning home long ago, so we must just survive. Atora lifts her chin. Just because you've given up doesn't mean I should. Her mother's eyes narrow. She grabs Atora by the shoulders and drags her up to the lip of the dune. Look, she commands, and Atora obeys. Men and women in blue-tinted leathers carrying their own makeshift spears and clubs roam between enormous solar panels. The panels are of unique geometric shapes, having come from the scraps of their generation ship that had crashed here 100 years ago, and they're the best source of survival. I too read your grandfather's grand plans, her mother says. When I was your age, in fact, I confronted him, as you are confronting me now, and he told me this: we can't do it alone. To rebuild the ship, we need the other tribe, and we need the other tribe's half of the crashed ship. And most importantly, we can't do it dead. The Lowlander tribe has claimed the solar fields for last 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Her grip tightens on Atora's shoulders. If we don't reclaim these fields, our tribe will die out within 1 month. That's why we have to leave, Atora says. We can't live like this. It's why we have to reclaim the solar fields today, Atora. There's only survival. Her mother's grip relaxes and she sighs. It's a hard truth, but the Lowlanders won't work with us. There's only enough for one tribe, and so we'll always be at war. Atora shakes her head. But then there's not enough of us to rebuild. No, her mother says, there isn't. She stands up and rests her makeshift blade over her shoulder. Now put down that journal and get your spear, so our tribe can survive. The raid is quick and effective. Otora's tribe, the Highlanders, spill over into the Red Dunes and run across the solar fields. The fields are so open with no natural defense points, and the Lowlanders are forced to retreat after being outflanked. Otora watches her mother as the blue-painted Lowlanders vacate the solar fields, returning to their erstwhile homes built out of their half of the crashed generation ship. Our tribe will survive another month, her mother says. In time, you will find enough satisfaction in that. And she takes her leave to organize the resettlement of their tribe into the fields, to post new defense patrols and set up their own extracting processes. Otora stares at the solar panels that are her home sometimes, and at the enormous shadows they cast as the sun begins to fall. That night, Otora reads more of her grandfather's journal. He had helped to build the first solar panels before the Highlander and Lowlander tribes had originally split. She reads his schematics, trying to understand if there is any way to reclaim more of them, but no, they just don't have the materials. Is her mother right? Was her grandfather right before he gave up on his plan? She watches the nighttime patrols of her tribe's few warriors who now claim the defensive disadvantage of the fields that had given them their own victory today. And the Lowlanders will reclaim the fields. Otora knows that, as they always do. And the Highlanders will reclaim them back, and both tribes will slowly die out from war of attrition. Otora checks her grandfather's original schematics again and is struck by an idea. The next morning, she returns to the dunes overlooking the solar fields. Oily smoke drifts into the sky as bright orange flames consume the crumbling solar panels. Otora is tired. It took her the better part of the night to sabotage each one. She watches as her tribe rushes from panel to panel, trying to fight the fires, but she knows there is no saving them. Her mother realizes this too, and falls to her knees in despair. The rest of her tribe follow their chieftain, and eventually give up, and watch the fire in shock. Otora sees the blue-dressed figures emerge from across the fields to investigate the smoke. Soon, the entire lowland tribe is rushing into the solar fields, not as a raid, but to save the solar panels. For a moment, they even cooperate with the Highland tribe to try to save some, and Otora worries they might be successful, but the fires are too fierce, and they too give up. The Highlander and Lowlanders watch the solar fields burn together, their weapons discarded, and Otora runs towards them across the red sand, clutching her grandfather's journal.
I was talking to Carl before we did this, and he told me like he wrote that the same day, like in an hour and a half, so I was like, it'd take me a long time. Excellent story. Thank you, Megan, that was awesome. So yeah, that's what we got. We really want everybody to listen every week to what we have. We still accept submissions. If you guys have a flash fiction story you want read, just go to immortal-works.com and give us a story. Flash fiction is 500 to 1,500 words. That's our definition anyway. And you'll get it read. And then also rate us and review, subscribe so that we can get rich. So, this is my retirement plan. But I just want to take a second to thank John, Zach, and Megan. And if you guys want to take one last second to pimp whatever you have, if there's anything you want to promote, like a book maybe you wrote, called Thomas Destiny. Published by Immortal Works.
Yeah, what he said. I co-wrote the YA fantasy novel Thomas Destiny with him. If you haven't read it, you should. It's really cool.
actually based on John's adventures as a homeless drifter. So,
Yeah,
which is completely unnecessary because of his job, wife, and house. So,
it's all by choice. Yeah.
Zach?
I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm married and I have 5 kids, so
Zach is on ACX. He's read several books, Schism, Millennium Prime, Rock Band Fights Evil, Scavengers,
Thomas Destiny.
Thomas Destiny. As you can tell, he's very talented.
I had to ride the coattails on that one.
He's got a smoky, sexy voice, so.
Oh, you.
And Megan's awesome. She works on the Immortal Works website.
So go to the website and see my work.
Yes. She also does some pageant acting and stuff too. So yeah, so awesome. Well, let's give everybody a round of applause one more time. That's everything, unless you guys have any questions. Not about where I was last night. 6:30 a.m. Great, thanks guys.
Stop this. Do I just hit X? Or do I have there like a stop button or something?
I'm guessing X.
I hope I don't like erase the whole thing, will I?
Maybe wait.
We're still going?
How do I stop it?
We don't.
You don't?
You should have gone like right.
Yeah, we can do that. So.
Like fragile bones.